Although, however we are, right? However we are is the good practice. So here I am, Tuesday. Let's see, what day is it now? We left 17, 18, 19, 20th, May 20th. And I am sitting here. I don't know if anybody could see that back. There's a lake back there. This is my sister-in-law's in Dalton City, Illinois. And we are there this morning. I just said goodbye to my college roommate of 50 years. This year, celebration of Gail. It's been lovely. We've had a beautiful time. I forget, as we all do, maybe, the beauty of love and the beauty of long love and long friendship.
Come to Ohio. You're next door.
I know I should be stopping in, Jean.
You should. You and
I really should.
I got a trundle bed right here in my office. Come on, girl.
I would love that. I've forgotten how much the Midwest is in me, built in. And you don't always remember till you go back and feel the connection to that. And so I am here doing that and practicing here. And I'll talk about that for a minute. We're going to be reviewing chapters 13 and 14 today in Smile at Fear by Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. And I think some of what Trungpa is saying in these chapters, beyond what we touched last week, which was touching our own hearts. Remember the practice, touching our own hearts, and then touching others. And I noticed, I don't know, Lynn, you were at Philabelli, and Dennis was at Philabelli, and I think Renee and Nick were at Philabelli. Lots of our friends, Margie was at Philabelli. Thank you all. Lori was at Philabelli. Thank you. Cindy was there. Tanya was there. Thank you all. Greg was there with fabulous protein. Did anybody notice anything different based on our practice last week? Anybody catch it? I did. I want to see if anybody else noticed. Our practice was touching our own hearts in moments of wisdom, compassion, love, friendliness. Remember, we're not using that heart touch simply as a soothing anymore. We're using it as a reminder. The goodness, the basic goodness in me, because we tend to use the vagal bundle here in a way of offering ourselves soothing. But our touch is to remember our basic goodness. This is key. Chogyam has spent the first 10 chapters talking about remembering what he calls the primordial, essential, basic goodness of our own beings. And then from that contact, which is the first week's work, probably in chapters 9, we extended that then to see if we couldn't make contact or touch, physically and otherwise, the basic goodness in others. And now I'm asking you the question, what did anybody notice that might have been a little different at Philabelli last Thursday?
Jesus.
From our practice? What'd you notice? Cindy says the connection with others felt deeper. Yes, it did. You could feel it.
Yeah, you could feel it in their faces.
You could feel it in yours and theirs. I noticed more physical touch. Anybody else notice that? I actually saw it, felt it, and saw that people were working on it. Lynn, I saw you doing it. I saw the hand come up, touching others. Notice that. Anybody else? Jean, yes. Come off as, let me unmute.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't know if this will mess things up. I don't have anybody besides my immediate granddaughters and daughter-in-law to touch here. But what I did find was, for example, in line at a department store, being aware of my heart, because I wasn't going to do this in the department store. Maybe we were supposed to, but the awareness of my heart and then just speaking, I thought, well, I can't touch them with my hands. That's too weird. But it was so cool because I got this nice response from the lady behind me. And then I said, why don't you go first? She had a cane. And then the lady behind that said, oh, that's so sweet, which wasn't why I did it. But I loved that domino effect that it clearly had. And it had it on me. So it was like the whole thing was deeper than any general chit chat in a line I've ever had. And that was very meaningful.
Lovely. That's exactly the case. So when we say touch, we expanded it, Jean, just like you're saying, because physical touch may or may not be appropriate.
Okay.
There would be a situation where physical touch not only is best, but required. There may also be a situation where it is not best and actually dangerous to someone. If you're touching, reaching out to a child that doesn't know you, as an example, or a vulnerable other who is not yet prepared. In our unsheltered friends, with our unsheltered friends, it was very clear. Not everyone was seeking, wanting, or needing that physical contact. However, then what do we know? It is true. Not their love does not shine in one way, right? And it should not. And then what? How are you shining it?
And I didn't want to talk because maybe my example was wrong.
Not correct.
Don't shoot me through the Zoom, Diana.
No, Jean, you better keep talking more because you've thought that twice so far and you've been way off both times. The truth is, if you know love that way, you better speak it.
That is,
hey, I didn't do that, but here's where I did see it. This is where I did notice. This is how I could feel it. And of course it's right.
right. Yeah.
Right? Of
Well,
course.
we're reading a book and you're the teacher, and it was like,
No.
and I'm new, should I say, but I'm working so much, or not working, I am so much more attuned now to love. And I don't mean romantic, and I mean that love, that what I think you're calling the basic goodness.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
it's amazing. It's amazing.
I hear it in your voice.
Yeah.
And I hear it in the shaky tenderness
Yeah.
that Chogyam talks about. And what he talks about is, and we remember last week talked about a certain kind of heartbreaking, didn't we? And we talked about that heartbreaking not as a problem, not as, but as essential evolution, we could call it, couldn't we? Into our falling more and more, opening more and more into our basic goodness. And then, of course, what you said, Jean, seeing the basic goodness in others. Chogyam is going to talk about that this week as ashe, a certain feeling tone, a certain energy, a certain exchange, right? It's an invisible but always perceivable, invisible but perceivable exchange. We all know what that means, don't we? You know what it means, right? Lynn, anything to say about that?
I just wanted to say that one thing I noticed at Philabelli was that our guests seemed more open to receiving the touch too. And I think that has to do, I don't know, maybe it's just that because I was open, it connected with them and they were open. I don't, somehow it, similar to Jean's domino effect. So that made it, and then that made it more, well, let me see, that made it easier for me to be willing to touch someone. And it became more natural as the evening went on. I was there very early and and one of the guests was there very early. So I sat on a bench talking with her and I reached out and touched her hand when we were talking. And that was very conscious to do, because I remember what we were talking about touching. And it was it was conscious, and it was a little bit scary because I didn't know if she was going to be receptive or not for sure. I felt like she would be, and she was. And then after that, it just seemed like it was happening a little more natural for me.
That's right. This is that naturalness. Chogyam has used this word, hasn't he? That we have become unfamiliar with our natural goodness. How sad is this? Ugh, talk about sadness. Unfamiliar with our natural goodness. And then we get scared, don't we? The fear is in it. Like, I don't know, like, do you? And what if? And until you shine it through. And Chogyam says, without cultivating both the practice and the confidence in the practice, you cannot create the fruit of it, which would be just naturalness. And he calls this stuff like the king and queen. He uses in these next two chapters, he says with precision, with dignity, right? With unfaltering confidence, you then act. And you act like Manjushri. There is no ultimate hesitation. But isn't it okay in the practice? Yes. Isn't it? There it is. Whoosh. But isn't it okay in the practice to go, I don't know yet because I have forgotten. I have forgotten, and it's okay. My essential basic goodness. And then consequently, what? My interconnectedness to all beings and all things. We somehow manage to create insane, isn't it? It's insane. Some idea that somehow we are separate or deficient or inadequate in some way that is not possible. Our inadequacy then is the second inquiry before we sit, is where? Where is the real inadequacy? It isn't in the try. It isn't in the let me go out there. It isn't in the I don't know how it's going to go. Where is then the real inadequacy? Somebody write it or say it. Where is it?
In the believing that we are separate.
In the delusion. There it is. And then when we realize, says Chogyam, how deluded we have been, how incorrect in vision, in understanding, we have an essential sadness. And like, wow, what have I done with this precious life? Says Mary Oliver. What have I done? What am I doing? Not doing this consistently in every interaction, in every right moment with others, Jean, or without them. And then Chogyam goes further and he says, if you have not offered this to yourself, you are going to then fall into deficiency. Not because that is your true nature, is it? No, it's because you bought in. You covered up, you hid, you shut it out, and then you would suffer, he says, because suffering would be the only consequence of this. Is it true? You know it, isn't it? It's 100% true. As we hold back, shut down, push away, I'm not worthy, they're not worthy. I mean, we point the gun of judgment, shame, right? Insufficiency, the trance of unworthiness, everywhere, right? We do it everywhere. We understand this then, right? And this touching, which we have been working on extending to ourselves, cannot become an old, we can't put it away as the practice. It has to be first and foremost as the essential basic practice. We can't just go, well, now I'm just going to go around touching others. It's not sufficient. it's inadequate completely. If you are not still putting your hand on your own heart, we have to go back. Don't we? We have to go back. We cannot go forward without that wholeness, completeness, living, breathing, essential, basic goodness. We can't. And so this week, guess where we're going to go? We got to go back. Don't we? Anybody disagree with this? Anybody have another perspective or another direction? And I'd love to hear about it. No two, says Carrie. But we can, we're better. Anybody noticing this yet? We're better at I can do me or I can do you. Anybody catch this? But me and you, tough business. Anybody noticing that? How to hold on to me and you, big work. I'm better at the one hand. We got a two-handed practice this week. First me, then you. First me, gotta do it. And that isn't selfish. That is not ego cherishing. That Chogyam says, don't mistake it. This is not what that is. The ashe is with decisiveness, with precision, with clarity, with deep understanding. I offer that sun radiant heart to myself, remembering my basic goodness. And then he says, and then you will act completely like Manjushri. There's nothing in the way now. You put the hand where you put it, you put the words where you put them, you put the smile where you put it, you put the loving kindness phrase where you put it, and it's all perfect. And he says, and never look back. And I don't mean by not reflecting, he means you know it's good, you know it's right, you know it's enough. And you never question it because you've already made contact with the essential goodness of you. It can do no harm. Can it? It can do no harm. And who thinks so? Can it? Where's the fear? Let's talk about it. Yeah.
So if what comes to mind is, I guess that like Lynn's example, if the woman did not receive it well, then would that mean that we weren't really in touch with ourselves and the other, that we were just doing something to do it because we think we should do it?
I'm going to let Lynn answer that first. Lynn, did you hear Libby?
Could you say it again, Libby?
Yeah, my thought is that if the woman didn't receive your hand touching well, would that mean that then that might mean that we weren't truly in touch with ourselves and the other to be able to read that well enough, and that we were only doing something because it's something we should do, not something that we're moved to do by connection in the moment?
So I don't think I would have I don't think I would have experienced that sensation. I think I was prepared to allow her to have her own space and have her own experience of whatever it was. And if she wasn't, if it wasn't right for her, I don't think it means that I should not have done it, or that, I mean, I did actually think, when I said I did it consciously, I did think ahead of time, am I being a space invader? That's a term that I used to use years back with worrying about being too intrusive in someone's life, or too expect, or maybe expecting too much from them. So in an effort to not expect anything from her, I just did what I felt was the thing to do at that moment.
And I must say that there is a synergy. All the thousands, millions of people I've met, there's always this magic or this synergy that that transforms it, that you sense. If your senses are acute, and if you're really alive and awake, you will know, like an animal, whether to approach or not approach. And it's kind of it's just an intuitiveness. It's either there or it's not there.
Yes, Dennis, and it didn't feel threatening to me. Like it wasn't a thing that I was really afraid. I was not afraid to do. I was not even monitoring to see if it was the right situation to do it. I just felt like, but like you're saying, Dennis, I knew to do it. But I was prepared if it would have been, if she would have like backed off from me, I would have attributed it to her, not me, I think. I don't know if that's right thinking, since I had previously said, I hope she was reflecting me. So it's a little confusing.
Libby, what are your thoughts about this now? Did you hear me? I don't know if she can hear me. Oh, maybe. I think she got, I think her thing was not workable. And, oh, here she comes. Let's see. Lib, can you hear me? You can hear me. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I lost you guys for a little bit, so I didn't hear much of what Lynn said.
She said she had some confidence in herself in it, and is then open and prepared, I would suppose, right? Like whatever comes from this, I have confidence in my goodness in offering it, and you never know, do you? Nobody. You'd be insane to think what the response of another would be, but then you would be open there, wouldn't you? You would just expand that.
Yeah.
Is all that could happen. And you know this with dogs, Lib, don't you? You bring your good heart there. You open to the animal. You bring your kind of fearlessness, your courage into it. And then whatever happens, you're present. And then, right, doesn't mean that exactly what you most wanted, right? Because that's greed. That's our egoic greed. And you're going to love me back. You're going to smile. You're going to touch, right? Forget it. You can't show up with that either, is correct, right? You just go, I'm confident in the heart of this, the heart mind of this bodhisattva path. And then whatever comes. And then you open and include. Right? Without judgment, blame, where you just go, okay, this is, I'll use that example, but I asked you, Lib, you get this, you know this, because you know it with the dogs.
Yes, that's what I mean. It's like I feel like I don't have proof for it, but that's what I mean. Is if I wasn't, again, to use dogs as an example, if I was doing something selfishly, touching you because I want to pet you, then that might go wrong. But when
Likely.
I'm, yeah, but when I'm doing it again,
guaranteed. Let's say guaranteed, and the dog.
So that's what I mean by if you're connected again to yourself and to the other.
That's right.
I do believe that, again, I don't have proof that more likely it would go well than somebody being offended, upset, disturbed. I think that would happen more so if we weren't truly tuned in and connected to both.
Greg, you're on. Were you going to add something?
Well, yeah, I just because I think it's a great question. And I notice it in myself when there are times when I think I'm open and I'm saying something to somebody and they're not receptive. And then I can hear the little judgment in my mind. And I think the whole discussion this morning is not about what's out there and what's happening with the person out there. It's what's happening in here. And so But I think the whole thing about the judgment is helpful for me to see the judgment, because I can be sensitive to what's going on out there, to if the other person is not receptive. And I kind of noticed it at the Fill a Belly, and there were times when people were really receptive to me, and there were times when they weren't, you know. And I could kind of hear that little voice sometimes going, wait a minute, you know.
Mhm. Mhm. What is that, do you suppose, that goes, wait a minute, this isn't going the way I wanted it to go?
It's my self-judgment of myself that I'm not somehow good enough, or
Yeah,
so I've lost that connection. It
that's right.
really is. I then now I'm out there looking at trying to get a response from somebody to make me feel better.
That's
Not,
right.
that's
Then it
not what it's
becomes our ego cherishing and slightly greedy,
right.
a small mind, which is fear-based.
And fear-based.
But I'm doing it to get something. I'm not doing it in that just offering and presence of the moment, because then there is no expectation, and then there is essentially no harm, and it doesn't matter. Isn't it amazing what the other does? I'm still here and available, and then can respond. Think about 2-year-olds for a second, right? You go, come on, I think we probably need a little nap, and you go to lovingly grab and you get head butted right in the jaw there, and you go, no, I understand, right? You're tired. This is a hard moment for you, but I can hold you in this. And isn't that as important? Right? We don't offer one loving action and then go, that was good. It should all be good from here. And our practice then is, how do I stay? We're going to practice today. How do I keep offering? How do I then stay awake to whatever is here perfectly? Right? And Shogam says, count on this. You can count on this as right action. You don't have to go, did I do it wrong? If the other didn't respond. The other is in their confusion, their fear, their pain. How do we hold it? How do we hold it? And if you're going, well, that didn't work out. What happened there? I'm a good person. I need you to see my goodness. We're on the wrong side of the street, aren't we? The right side of the street says, no, I'm clear. I'm clear that this is nap time. It's very important. I understand your distress because we've gone a little too far over the line, most probably, but it's okay. I've still got you here. Libby does it every day. She does it every day. Every day somebody goes, that dog, I don't know about that dog. Right? No, wait. How do we respond now? And yes, then there is the time, Chogyam said in the last chapter, once in 1,000 years, he said, where you will have to take an action you did not want to take. It will be required. You will have to take it for the greater good with the greatest benefit possible, and towards the action of no harm. You will have to do things maybe that you didn't even want to do. And you will have to take them. And isn't it also true? I will have to step into this, even though, well, I wasn't thinking that was what I was most in the mood for today. We're going to sit now, but I'm going to give you an example of wrong intention. And I've told this story before, so I'm going to make it quick. I saw a man at Jamba Juice with a very large dog who was sitting in front of the door with I forgot those collars, but pointy things coming out of the collar. And the man's just laying back, and he knew that the dog was in front of the door, and he just left it. And so I don't know how to get into Jamba Juice with that dog and that guy. So I take out $5 and I kind of throw it at him. Remember this story? And guess what he does? Because I'm like, I'll pay you to go away. What does he do? Anybody remember? He throws it back at me. He throws it back at me and says, lady, I don't need your money. Perfect. 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 I was going to pay him off to get out of my way. And boy, I felt it, and he felt it, and that dog felt it. And so that dog stayed right there. Like, you're actually dangerous, lady. You just haven't made contact with it yet. And I was dangerous right then because I had separated from his essential basic goodness. Now, does that mean I have to go into the store and get bit by the dog? And no, this would be ridiculous, wouldn't it?
That brings up,
Yeah, go ahead.
well, I know you said we're going to sit. I make it
Yeah.
very quick.
Yeah.
I think your original question for this conversation was what stops you? What's the fear? And we're talking about other people and dogs. There's a part of me still very much stuck in my long-term Catholic upbringing. Pride goeth before a fall. I heard that phrase repeatedly. And so when Rinpoche says it's not ego cherishing, you just mentioned danger. I have a literal, visceral, I can't believe that I'm good. It
Mhm.
will be bad, whether that's I'll go to hell, something
Mhm.
bad. And so I'm working with it, obviously.
That's
Uh,
right.
I don't know if there's other people raised Catholic, but it feels ingrained. You do not believe you're good. You're born with original sin. I think you said, it might have been this book or another one, we're calling it original goodness. And I am trying to, yeah, but it's
Yeah.
difficult. I freeze. I go
Yeah.
into freeze and
Yes, of
have to
course you
work
do.
with it. So,
That's right. And that it was it's a beautiful thing to recollect, and we all carry it, Jean.
yeah.
It is not just Catholicism in any way. It is, if you're not perfect, if you're not beautiful, if you're not smart enough, if you're not rich enough, if you're not healthy, you screwed up. And the evidence is in your life.
Well, if your son dies, you're really not good.
Oh boy, then you really
You
messed
really fucked it up. So,
boy, you're
Yeah.
major. And
and
and oh, and then right, our
yeah.
fabulous separatism goes, oh, I don't know. I don't know what she did. Something must have been something. Can't see it.
And
But
you said last time, and I got a little upset, like you can't do it with others if you can't give it to yourself. That's a tough one because I feel like as a therapist, trying to help, trying to be there, trying to,
yeah, but not without you.
yeah,
Because what help is there without you?
right.
What love is there without you? And then it looks false and it feels tinny and people throw money back at you.
Mm-hmm.
And the dog growls.
Yeah.
And your husband goes, fuck you. Don't psychobabble me.
Yep. Yep.
You know, the right reason you got for what you think you're making sense of.
Well, I'm okay thinking I'm a good therapist, but that's different from thinking that I'm a good person.
Yeah, that's exactly right. A role is not a being. A
Yeah.
role is a role. And a
Yeah.
role is not sufficient because it's two-dimensional or one.
Mm,
We're
okay.
talking about our whole beings. Front, side, center, back, inner, outer, upper and downer. This is it. This is our practice. We're going to practice now. Well, thank you for this conversation. Isn't it important?
Yeah.
It is. Don't we all have to remember and then remind each other? Yes, we do. Right? Yes, we do. And so we're going to practice again. And I'm outside. So we're going to do our same practice because if we cannot create space, says Chogyam, it is in the space creating, it is in the first noble truth, it is in the noble eightfold path. If you cannot cultivate enough space for right view, we're already lost. If there's already a me and already a you, we're already cooked. And so first, he says, don't rest in the me, don't rest in the you. Rest in the space, which is representative of what? That vast open. And now the word empty is coming in for Chogyam, but he doesn't mean with nothing. He means interconnected, not essential, non-existent on its own. Isn't that fabulous? Doesn't exist without everything else in its essential order and being. So we're going to practice again. So let's get ready. Find your spot. Looking out your window or creating a sense of open space somewhere. It could be in the room you're in because space is everywhere. You can see my space right out there, pointing at that beautiful sunlight and lake that I'm in. I wish I could see it. I should probably turn me going that way. I think, oh gosh, that's amazing. I'm going to flip me over here. So does everybody get this idea of that open space? I just have the most gorgeous view coming out here. So remember, non-artificial, non-constructed, non-fabricated. The meditation here doesn't look like a meditation, does it? You're going, well, you're not meditating. You don't look like a Buddha. Yes, you are. This is the essential practice. This is your everyday, every minute, every breath practice. You're just opening to the vastness first, says Chilgil, of this life and everything in it. And so I'm just going to share, you're going to look and see what you see. But I see, it was stormy here, and now I see the truth. I see the remnants of the storm, which is quite a bit of wind blowing in the trees. And I know that that wind is not only dangerous, it's essential also. The wind itself is not the problem. The trees are like dancing around this lake. And the rain that fell was also essential. It is also neither good nor bad. It is essential to the green here. To the beauty of it and the space in and around it. Now I know that there is infinite space, so much space that there is space between each blade of grass around this lake. I can't see that, but there is a confidence. It looks like a carpet of green, but I have confidence that even in this thing that appears solid, there's infinite space here as well. Remember, we're not avoiding objects, neither are we gluing ourselves to them. They are a part of this essential human conscious landscape, as are you. And this is, Jean, where we build it in. Without you, this cannot be known. There's some thick clouds moving behind those trees. I'm just noticing their movement. And of course, there can be no movement without space. And then we're going to rest the eye somewhere in open space. Remember, the target isn't an object. The target is the space. And then we remember, without these essential elements, of which we are also an inherent part, this sun that is represented by our own energy and radiance, this wind, our own air and movement, this water, I'm looking at this lake, our own moisture. We are this and cannot be separated from it. The pine cone hanging from this beautiful pine here are essential, a pure, solid earthen element. But these things are interconnected, interplaying, interbeing. None could exist without the other. all held in infinite, embracing open space. You can rest the eye. If you're looking up, the eye might become a little bit weary. And remember, there is no target or object. It is a soft gaze. You're not looking for anything, so that you can then see everything. Now, I don't know if you can hear this. I'm going to turn it on. I am sitting in a sunroom currently, and the wind is now blowing enough that this sunroom is creaking like crazy. This is an essential reality with this, within this landscape. And then we might notice a little resistance, a little like, well, I'm not liking that creak because I don't have total confidence in this sunroom. It's not true. I'm just using it as an example. And there, at some point, though I'm not there, there might be enough wind or enough rain or enough sun or enough that just opening would lead to an action. And Chogyam starts to talk about that now, which is we are going to act with that first premise of our essential goodness, activating that good heart in us, placing our hands on our own hearts. This is the remembering, the reminder, the activator, the igniter of our own bodhisattva heart. How then can I act skillfully given this interconnected landscape? Well, right now, I could simply rest in joy, rest in beauty. In another moment, it might be smart to make a different choice. But if I am in the primordial open shunyata, says Chogyam, and Suzuki Roshi was one of the best masters at helping people rest in this open, empty space. Remembering this as your essential heart mind. There is room here for everything and everyone. And as Greg was talking about, there's nothing to expect. There's no, if it got a little less windy, it'd be better. It's not true. If it got a little sunnier, it'd be better. It's not true. If only anything, not true. Can I be with exactly as it is? Seeing most clearly without expectation, without judgment towards self or other. And truly, truly rest. This meditation is not done for long periods of time. It is done for 15 minutes, maybe 20. You know, our Sangha shoots for the minimum 13. And Chogyam says there is a dignity in just this abiding. that there is a nobility already present in your very willingness to abide and open in space. That means you're holding on to nothing also. You are, from the Tibetan tradition, groundless. And by virtue of that groundlessness, now capable, isn't it amazing? Now capable of everything. I'm not anchored into anything. I am fluid, flexible. We talked about this last week. I'm capable of all actions as well as non-action. I'm the biggest, largest. I am holding not only myself, but all of this in the truth of interconnectedness, interbeing. Remembering once again, touching my own heart, remembering my true nature, softening the body. Only responsive then. And empty means not non-existent, as we said. It means no preference, no bias, non-reactivity. There is no demand expectation at all. This is where hope and fear join. Our expectations, our demands, our preferences are always hope or fear or both. And they are united. They are not separate. We hope because we want something. Once again, abandoning a more essential reality. And we're going to be taking just one more moment, seeing how the body is right now. Checking in on the quality of your own mind. I am feeling really quite spacious. I'm also noticing a little bit of heartache. I have forgotten the beauty of this place. As long as I have lived here, I have still forgotten. I've unfortunately remembered the difficulties of the weather, of the seasons. I have forgotten its beauty till now. And then just lowering the eyes a little bit, no longer taking in that scape exterior. We're going to just check into the body, how we are, placing the hand once again. If we haven't in the heart, you can rest the eyes. Just checking in on how we really are right now. Breathing, just that sense of that wind blowing. That wind horse, we'll be talking about that next week, of energy, radiance, power. Goodness. Give yourself one more last pat. I'm going to just shine the hand, since I can't touch all that, out as my honoring of the essential goodness that is also all around me. And I want you to remember this because if there is not a thing to touch, you can touch that vast open space in which it all rests. Raising that hand up and out to touch all of those things. Yourself and all that beauty the same. Feeling how it opens the heart. And then as you check in, we're going to come back to the screen. What I'd like is for you to just release the body in any way that might be helpful. I want you to remember that heart towards oneself, that natural connecting to one's own heart, and that hand that then opens, right? Opens to include others. This is the same touch that sometimes makes contact, but is always shining. Whether you touch a thing or you don't touch a thing, it's there. And that's going to be part of the work. Can I remember this? The beauty of everything around me, the correctness, the natural law that is at play here, even if it is something that is also painful. I'm going to stop for a minute, just make sure I can connect. Greg writes here, but Greg, it may have been before, but I'm going to read it anyway. Robin's got something here. Let me go back and see if I can't catch some of this. So Robin says, back to examples with dogs. These precepts are totally aligned with the animal Reiki shared with shelter dogs. Yes, we are trained to be centered and open through meditation practice in this method and to not expect a certain outcome. Thank you. That is always the truth in whatever good practices we are doing. And if that is not the case, it is not right practice. If you're coming out of this going, and then this will occur, there is always failure in it because expectation is always here. All outcomes are right when the correct open heart and mind are present. That is exactly correct, Robin. Thank you so much. Greg says, can we make friends with the little judgment voice that says we are not enough or worthy? We better, because that's making friends with our fear. Can we greet it so we can hear it and realize this is not a correct storyline but is from our conditioning? Yes, greet it so we can see it clearly and realize it is not who we really are at all. At all. And yes, can't we befriend and attend and cherish just like that 2-year-old? Just right? Deserving of kind, loving, gentle, caring attention? Or you start to slap the kid around. And we do it to ourselves every single day. We are all abusers. And you have to be, don't you? You have to be. Because how does it happen in the world? It cannot without. It has to be. And then where do we attend? We start with our own. Can I hold myself in my own conditioning, Greg said, in my own lack of friendliness, lack of care, lack of gentleness, lack of tenderness? Where? With oneself. Wouldn't be possible in the world if it were not. Unconditional friendliness is exactly right. Let's look at the book. And short chapters, so we will not have too much trouble getting through it today. I'm going to do my best here to, I got to hide this, unfortunately, for a second. This is always a little tricky. Let's see if I can do it. So here is, yeah, I think I just figured it out. Hey, I can still learn something. This is impressive. Okay, can we see this Anybody see the chapter with the, thank you. I'm going to go back. This is the last paragraph in chapter 12. The ruler of the great eastern sun. Remember, the great eastern sun is simply the metaphor for the radiant heart mind, the radiant wakefulness of our own bodhisattva or warrior hearts. It views the world, the entire universe, with panoramic vision. What did we just practice? He or she sees what needs to be done, what needs to be conquered. He doesn't mean it that way. What needs to be overcome, mostly in our own fear. What needs to be destroyed, our own judgments, condemnation, criticism, and trance of unworthiness. What needs to be cherished, our true selves. When you join heaven and earth, you experience total unity. That's that completeness, that wholeness, a total sense of that which is unshakable. We called it unbreakable last week. It is the complete synchronization, interconnectedness of mind and body, and not just yours, but the mind-body of this totality, this universal and absolute beingness, I guess we could say. Here we are in chapter 13, making friends with fear. Just like Greg just said, we are discussing how to benefit others by joining heaven and earth, these senses of two things that by appearance look separate. We could say I, thou, you, me, this and that, left and right. There cannot be left and right. Just let's use that simple example without the totality of leftness and rightness. There can be no left without right. Can there? There is then only the more primordial reality of open space. Now we use in our relative world all of these thises and that's very appropriately so that we can live in this world, right? But we have to be careful that we don't grab these absolutes because in fact, in the larger scape, there is no such thing. And if you held open space, where would left be and right be? Beyond your concepts of it. Where would hatred and love be? Beyond your mere concepts. Because what do we know? We said it. All hatred ultimately is fear, and all fear is actually deserves and requires the response of love in it. Fulfilling your wishes arises in the context of not harming others. These are the basic principles. We call them the three noble truths. Context of no harm, not taking advantage, not taking more than is needed. We have a whole set of precepts, these essentials, and not causing suffering to oneself or others. And we get to include both. There is a basic virtue or decency in this bodhisattva path. Remember, we're going to watch that warrior word because it's misunderstood now. That arises from our fearlessness. We could say simply our good hearts. We could say our awakened heart-mind. Fearlessness is always pervading, always available in that wakefulness. And how that allows you to appreciate the world around you. And by the way, folks, everything then in it. Even the part you didn't like, you didn't want, and you would have preferred not. We use everything, turning that poison, that preference, that reactivity into good medicine. It is based on reawakening to our own basic nature, hand on one's own goodness. If you cannot know it, you cannot live it. So gotta remember, gotta remember, gotta remember. And the only way to do it is to behave, right, initially, until we do so naturally, spontaneously, fearlessly, and with, as Greg wrote, unconditional friendliness. The expression of basic goodness is our next topic. This is called ashe, essential goodness in everything, even when by its appearance we cannot see its goodness. Now I'm looking at a little squirrel that has just come out to this green yard, happily bouncing around the edge of the lake. I happen to know if my sister-in-law were here, she'd be going, damn, that squirrel is going to be digging some holes somewhere in my fabulous green carpet of grass. Is it true? No. Do we understand? Yes. And so ashe means first recognizing. The bodhisattva first sees the inherent, unconditioned goodness in everything before thinking, before acting, before speaking. The inherent goodness in all things before any of that occurs. And if you cannot make contact with it in you and then in that other, do not act. Do not speak. This is an essential first precept. Cause no harm. Don't go. Don't go if you can't go. It's okay. You get to take a nap, attend to yourself, take a walk, go not yet. It's all fine. But don't go if you cannot remember this essential primordial goodness, or ashe. It is a felt sense. It is not just an idea. You can know it and it has a vibration. I want you to feel for it and into it this week. Hand on self, hand out. Goodness here, goodness everywhere. How then, in the remembering and the knowing of this, will I act, speak, think? The expression of basic goodness, ashe, is a primordial. She means stroke and also life strength. Ashe is the primordial stroke of strength of life. It can also mean power, storehouse of power. I would say goodness manifest, the energetic reality of that goodness. You know it by heart. You don't have to be it. It doesn't look like that at all. In fact, it can often be gentle and quiet and tender. If it, that's because there's a situation where that is required. Where it is required. I have to assert this more because there is something also an equal, one might say, energy that needs to be attended to. Such power has neither beginning nor end. It is unconditioned, and such power exists in you, individuals, inseparable from the basic goodness of all things. Ashe is referred to as a razor knife. This is Manjushri's sword, and that which Jean held up a statue. It has its own strength. It doesn't rely on, though it is interconnected with, doesn't rely on that other. The response of the other, right? We already know their essential basic goodness. There is nothing more to check in on it, but it is responsive to that. It cuts through all the unnecessary, what about this? What about that? What if they don't? What if they do? How do I know? How do I guarantee it? Because it is essentially groundless. It is not dependent in any way on the response of the other. In any way. It is not, it is interdependent, but not dependent on the response of the other at all. Sometimes we have to say no. Sometimes we have to set limits. Sometimes, right, the nap is going to be taken because there is the right thing in us that knows without this, there is harm that is going to occur. This basic goodness, through its strength and power, cuts through all the neuroses, all the what about, what if, what not, how come, maybe not, maybe you, maybe me. This is just seen as our basic insanity. The vision is larger, it is boundless, and there is no thinking. You just know, I'm going to go reach for that person in this right way. At the very moment of his enlightenment, the Buddha's enlightenment, he also was very clear. He was attacked by Mara with all the forces of greed, hatred, aggression, delusion, and he did not speak. He simply acted a shay. He said, without words, I am deserving of this life and am a part, inherently, an essential part of it. And he placed his right hand on the earth, and the earth shook in honor of that reality. A shade altogether is the powerful existence arising out of basic goodness. Relative shade, or that which is connected to our everyday lives, is a way to think of this relativity, is the powerful existence in its action, in its speech, in its stillness, in its silence, in its smile. It manifests in all kinds of indescribable, unknowable, amazing ways, and you don't have to think about it. It will come naturally. Relative shade is connected with this fundamental fearlessness. We're not thinking about, well, should it go like this or go like that? Should I do it this way or should I do it that way? It's unnecessary because there is no thinking in a shay. It is that primordial, essential, energetic nature. We mostly are afraid of harm or non-existence. The ego is the only one who fears. Ego, the only one who fears. You might be so terrified, says Chogyam, that you can't even cry and you lose any trace of a sense of humor. I do that every day. You lose all the reference points that normally anchor your existence. Remember, anchoring to my goodness, anchoring to the goodness in all things. You become empty-hearted in the negative sense rather than open-hearted in shunyata, without that neuroses, without that fear, without that egoic self-claim. When you have a problem appreciating a chrysanthemum or the sunshine, that is a sign of fear. We have lost our minds. Because of your fear, you may lose your sense of humor, isn't it true? Your sense of appreciation, and you may be blocking the vividness of your perceptions. I wouldn't say that, I'd say of the truth of life. You are lost in it, and fear has that short-term shadow capacity, and it is still not your nature, as we have said. Instead, fear should be regarded as the kindling to build a big fire of fearlessness. Why? The moment we know fear, we have been set free and can regard both ourselves and others in our human vulnerability. Compassion is the only outcome. You have to make friends with fear on the path to fearlessness. The razor knife of a shay cuts through all fear. When we connect with our human beings, other human beings, we touch their creativity. We begin to expand our world. That is the expression of fearlessness. Let's go on. Monumental non-existence. There wasn't a lot here for me. He's reminding us again about that ashay, that it is always available, always present in your own heart. It can hold everything, including your own cowardice, including your own bravery. It is not limited in scope, in size, or in capacity. We all have that energetic ashay available to us. Even when you go, no, I don't. Yes, you do. The fear is just for the moment, looking like it's larger. It cannot be. There is space holding it. And then you can activate and proclaim it in your existence. I, too, am capable of this. It awakens you to a whole new dimension of who you really are. Then there's a ziji, which means noble, the nobility of that goodness, the stability of that goodness, the purity of that is felt. And both Libby and Lynn and Robin were talking about this as it relates to animals. The animal knows itself. It doesn't mean you might not get bit. It means you understand that that bite had nothing to do with harming you. It was a reaction from years and years of conditioning that will take maybe lifetimes to resolve. But how do I then respond right now to that without furthering harm, furthering aggression, and furthering damage? It is a quality of basic health. It is good and it is definite. It is not unsure, it is not tentative, it is solid like a rock and changes in a flash. So the solidness does not mean it stays like that. It's like that right now. It appears like this, and then in the next moment, maybe completely other because the moment calls for it. So it's got nothing but flexibility in it, but it is stable. It is bouncy like a tiger. That means that changeability. You are basically healthy and strong. There is no room for sickness, for obstacles. It doesn't mean we're not all going to die. That's not what it means. It means there is no neuroses. There is no, oh, I don't know. And we're practicing this. It doesn't mean it doesn't appear. Yes, I can hold my own neuroses, my own fear, my own confusion, my own, right there. And go, okay, wait a minute, get back to me. What am I doing? I'm afraid of that dog in front of Jamba Juice. This is not a problem. Can I stay with myself? And then how might I have truly responded? What would I have done? I'd have sat right down with that man, is what I would have done, and said, how's it going? Are you okay? How's your dog? Right? And in the moment, it looked like I was 1,000 miles away from that, and it wasn't true. I was one click away. One. I just didn't stay still enough and with myself enough to make contact with the goodness in me so I could get to the goodness of him. The way of the warrior is to reflect that heart, mind, and body through our speech, through our actions, and our non-actions. The whole approach is based on how you carry yourself and how you conduct yourself without the idea of radiating something else, something other. It is just you. That is the essence of you. The warrior speech is gentle but powerful. The warrior speech is not sloppy. I'm working on that, I'm working on that, and I'm working on that. It is not without making contact with essential goodness first. All the things I would not have said had I made contact with it first. And the other things I would have said had I been able to make contact with it. As far as the discipline of mind is concerned, remember we're doing a very open, spacious practice. You should rest your mind in that basic goodness, appreciating what? Me and my goodness and all that goodness here. Appreciating that goodness brings joy, ease, and celebration. Think of the Ashe principle, the razor knife that cuts through aggression, ignorance, greed, and hatred. And think of the basic goodness in you that's going to make that possible without ego. There is no oh me in it. There is simply the right, skillful, kind, loving, generous action. Sadness and joy are one in this basic goodness. Why? We can hold it all. Basic goodness is the thing to be remembered and the thing to be calling out this week in our practice. At the absolute or universal level, the Ashe principle is non-existent. What he's really saying is there is nothing but it. There is no, oh, it's over there. Oh no, now it's over here. It's everywhere in everything. And so this idea that I see it here is simply us waking up. It's not because it's not over there too. It's just that we can't yet see it, which means that in some way we haven't yet made contact with that in ourselves in those conditions. Oh, I'm just not able yet to make contact with that in me. The absolute level, the principle of non-existence, remember, he says it's empty. This is where shunyata, or emptiness, comes. What does emptiness mean? Capable, available, not separate from everything. It doesn't mean there's no thing, just so we don't get confused. We talk about Vajra, which means diamond nature. It is the diamond-like quality of non-existence that is absolutely indestructible. It means non-existent, not dependent on the situation and not dependent on any one factor. It is independent and codependent, interconnected with everything. The Ashe principle is the hard fact and the hard truth that cannot be altered. The essential goodness of me and you. It is in the cosmos. It is universal. It is this and that. It is the razor's edge that we are in every moment of dualism, looking like goes one way or the other. How do we open and open and open to include them both? This principle of basic goodness is non-egoic. Boy, aren't we clear. Nothing to dwell on anywhere, groundless, but utterly definitive, sharp, superb, immovable, steady, and stable. It is monumental non-existence. It is the essence of joining heaven and earth, our goodness and this humanity together realized. This is then, we're going to move on to part 3, which is the energy of wind horse. We'll start talking about that next week, and that will be chapter 15 and 16 for next week. All right. I'm going to come off of this and see what we understand about this now. It's all that we're talking about, isn't it? Everybody see? It's right there. It's not in any way separate from every single thing we just said, is it? At all. But the language can sometimes be confusing. So we're going to check back in here and see, what do you understand about both the practice I'm recommending, so let's say it out loud again, and the heart mind that in fact will be activated through that practice. Does everybody get the idea of touching in with one's own basic goodness? You got to begin there. You can't act anything. Don't go. Don't go. It's likely neuroses, says Chogyam, not you. Just old habit. First, you make contact with that goodness. Then you remember the goodness that is in the other, in everything, always, non-separate. No separation. That guy, bang, I got to get to this. And then we act skillfully. Then we're going to think, then speak, then act, even if that action is simply holding vast open space for us both. Maybe that's it. That's all I can pull off today, is sending blessings to the other, that they too be safe and happy and well, so that we can all be. Right? Maybe that's it. I just went by the TV a minute ago. I'm living in a land of different politics here. And as I was walking by, I literally held my hand out and went, may you be happy too. May you be well too. Because if I can't do that, I can't change this thing. I'm now a part of the essential problem. I am the problem. So there's nobody else to look at, is there? At all. Okay, so that's our practice. Chogyam says in these chapters, call out basic goodness. Use the words. Basic goodness. Basic goodness. Basic goodness. There it is. Here it is. How does this interact now with that truth? Basic goodness here, basic goodness there. What am I going to do? Well, the minimum, says the teachings, is I can send the wish for well-being, the wish for ease, the wish for safety, the wish of freedom from harm for us all. And couldn't you? Yes, you could. So every time you go by one of those TVs that's got remembering the basic goodness in me, and remembering that it is everywhere, being held by everything, and then remembering that in the what appears to be the other, but not separate. In the Christian faith, so beautifully, they talk about Jesus in his distressing disguise. Right? Jesus in his distressing disguise, that which appears to be over there, some other thing that is not other at all, because it couldn't exist. Didn't we just say that in our practice? Without the sun, there is no lake. Without the lake, there is no grass. Without the grass, there is no air. Without the air, right? And so we all have to join in, don't we? Have to go, okay, wait a minute. I'm going to take care of my part so that this can be a shade, radiant, open, spacious, holding all the essential elements. So do we get it? Yes, we do. Because you can't not get it. You can't not get it. There's no way not to get it. You go, oops, I may not have lived it, but there's no way you could not understand it. And if you're saying you don't understand it, then there is some resistance to this basic truth, isn't there? And then we are going to take full responsibility, aren't we, for it? That's our job. I think this every single day, and I mean it. I think, what have I done to contribute to this? Well, passive, distracted, just doing my thing in the corner of the thing I do, thinking it'll all work out somehow without me. No, it won't. Will it? It's not going to work out without us, folks, at all. At all. I'm going to tell you a quick story, and then I'm going to have to go, but I'm going to listen. So the story is, here I come. Remember, I live in a land of other politic here, and I love these people enough to die for them, and there's no doubt about it. And they have a very different orientation than me, and I'm in the house with my brother, who, the minute I walk into the room, decides to turn it on for me, because he's going to blast this thing into my head, hoping that he can convince me that it is okay to hurt other people, that they really are the problem. And if only I could see that, then I wouldn't feel so bad about shipping people all kinds of other places. And I hear, and I'm sitting there for a minute going, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. I felt sick to my stomach. And then I think, I can't sit here, because sitting here is what I've done for a lifetime. And I can't be aggressive. Well, because I've tried that too. It didn't work out any better, folks. And so I get up and I go to the other room where my sister-in-law is, who I do not know well enough and love her too. And she says, I said, I just can't be in there. She goes, hey, I know, it's tough. And I said, yeah. And she said, you know, there's a rally tomorrow in the next town. And the rally is, we're going to go from Aurora all the way to Chicago, holding hands in solidarity for just being against fascism or authoritarianism or dictator. And I said, we have to go. And she said, I'm afraid. And I said, you have to go anyway. And I'm here, and we're going to go together. And so she and I and her daughter make signs and show up with both my mom and my brother going, where are you going now? What are you doing? And I said, oh, we're only going to go, line up to support everybody, welcoming everybody, right? And my mom said as I left, well, have fun. And I said, oh, I will. I really will. Now, guess what? They didn't ask one question about that when we got back. And that TV never went on again. Good enough, isn't it? Good enough. And we just sat there and talked, and then went to dinner and had a very good time. But there was no more and that is its power, isn't it? Isn't it? That's its power. Like, I didn't have to argue anything. I didn't have to say you're a knucklehead. I didn't have to go, but do you understand that we're at all? And I said to her, you're going to have to go again. And she is. Because otherwise, just sitting there, she's a participant in a way that she does not completely yet understand. And what I can tell you is she's less afraid. That I know for sure. And she said, I cried every time a car went by and honked because I remembered we weren't alone. Isn't it true? I remembered we're not alone in this, that there's a whole nation. And I don't mean the other side, that wants happiness, ease, and goodness. And so we are going to practice this together in whatever way you then do. Yeah, right action, exactly right. Simply, we must go. That's all, right? And that's it. That's what we're going to be doing all week. And we are in a perfect time for this teaching, aren't we? Are we not? We're in a perfect time for this teaching. We cannot. I believe that was done all those years ago for this, that we could hold this heart-mind in some kind of stability. Okay. All right, let's do the Bodhisattva prayer. I think I looked at chat. We all get this. There's nothing we don't already understand. All right. And so reestablishing ourselves in that open space, both inner and outer. Placing one hand on the heart, remembering our essential basic goodness, and then opening the essential basic goodness in everything around us. Everywhere, shine it everywhere. On that neighbor who has that Trump sign in their backyard. May you be healthy, happy, safe, and free from harm. On this bush blowing in the breeze. On that man mowing the lawn. Over on the other side. And then we breathe in goodness and we breathe it out. And then you can leave your hands just like that, or you can bring them together, joining inner and outer together. May I be a guard for those who need protection, a guide for those on the path, a boat, a raft, a bridge, for those who wish to cross the flood. May I be a lamp in the darkness, a resting place for the weary, a healing medicine for all who are sick, a vase of plenty, a tree of miracles. And for the boundless multitudes of living beings, may I bring sustenance and awakening, enduring like the earth and the sky, until all beings are freed from sorrow and all are awakened. May we all have happiness and the causes for happiness. May we all be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May we never be separated from our basic goodness and truest nature, freed from greed, hatred, and delusion. May we rest in the vast, open, and empty heart-mind of love, compassion, and wisdom until all beings are happy and free. May we act and think and speak in accord with this basic nature in us and all beings. And may this practice today contribute and make it so. So be it. for all of you. Love and blessings to you. So good to see you all. I look forward to time together. Greg will be here Thursday at 7, and I believe it's Dia will be leading us on Saturday. I will be on the plane returning home, or so they say. We'll see how that unfolds, because who knows, but that's the plan so far. So I won't see you again until next Tuesday, where we will be doing chapter 14 and 15 in Smile at Fear. 14 and 15, we're going to be looking at that energy that invites, that wind horse energy that requires expression and action, cannot be contained, cannot be passive, cannot be hidden. And I'll look forward to doing that with you. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining today. Be well, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. That was so beautiful. Enjoy your time there. It sounds magnificent. I miss going back that way.
I have to say, so do I. I just didn't know it till
Yeah,
now.
good memories.
Be well, everyone.
Big hugs. Bye.
Thank you.